Good morning, guys. 6:30 a.m. streaming live from Sydney, Australia. Thursday, it is your Wednesday night. A lot of my subscribers come from North America. Wherever you are in the world, I say welcome. Whenever you catch this, if it's on the live, let me know where you're checking in from. Shoot your questions as well. If you're catching this on our video playlist section, I want you to comment down below on what your preferred parlay is today going into this Japanese fight card. So the fights are today. We have a long fight weekend ahead of us. In this video, I'm going to recap some of the conversations we've had so far this week, specifically where our money is going towards tonight in Tokyo. I've given you guys one parlay already that I've already gone heavy on. I put that in earlier in the week. You guys who follow the show should already know that by now. That's Brian Norman by stoppage, and that's Christian Araneta on the money line. That's already in. Now, I also posted last night on our post section a fun little, prop bet parlay that I'll go over right now. That's in the title, and that's the odds. And you guys do not have to agree with me. I know a lot of you guys are checking in right now, so before I say my hellos, I just want to get this out real quick. You guys don't have to follow along. This one pays about 6-1 here in Australia. Remember, guys, the odds I get on my book in Sydney are going to be a little bit different than the North American odds because my sports book forces us to bet three-way betting, meaning that I get the odds on the money line for the winner, for the favorite, the underdog, and the draw. So that draw will boost my odds up on the money line, but if the fight does end in a draw, my parlay is ruined. And from what you guys tell me, yours is still active. So with this parlay, if the odds are a little bit different, just keep that in mind. I'm taking, and I already posted this, and I was putting some feelers out last night to see what you guys were thinking about it. This is just for fun, but I'm putting money on it. You don't have to listen to me. I'm taking under 4.5. So this is a 3-leg. Under 4.5. Brian Norman Jr. to win the fight, and then Jin Sasaki to get knocked down. So I will be posting that officially with my money so you could see in the post section. Something I've always done, whether it's on my YouTube channel over the last 6 months, or I used to host a show on Instagram with a journalist from Washington, D.C. It was an MMA show. It was actually called Easy Money. Scared money don't make money. And even then, when I would hit 9-leg parlays on the UFC or knockout props, I would always cover up how much money I make, just because the longer you're on my channel, you'll understand. I don't like flossing. For me, it's not about the money, so I'm not a braggart. You're not going to hear me brag about it, but I also post my losses. And when I post my losses, you don't see how much I wager anyway, because I don't want to give you guys an impression that it's all about the money. You guys should be having fun, entertainment, watching your favorite sports, not stressed out. If you're betting scared money, my advice to you, stop betting. You know what I'm saying? But there is a educational way to go about this. I know a lot of guys who have built a career on betting on boxing, and they look at it as an investment, ROIs on these fights, similar to a day trader, a return of investment. So this is what we do. Now I'll do some check-ins. Guys, wherever you are, I say welcome. I see Goats in the house. I know DJ's always up. Landslide's in the house. I salute all the regular faces. The channel is growing. This is my first live stream of the day. If you haven't checked out the video I just uploaded, the breakdown, analysis, and prediction of Jahai Tucker and Truck Simpson, check that out right now. That's on the playlist. Marcel, I see you finally caught alive. Mehmed Brian Norman by knockout. It's fight night. So, yeah, we're excited. These Christian Araneta odds keep swaying. I went to bed last night. He was at $1.60. He's at $1.76. On Monday, I got him at $2.20. So I'm happy with where we are, and I'm comfortable with that bet. When I did my analysis on the Truck Simpson versus Jahai Tucker prediction, I know there were a lot of opinions swaying one side or the other. So we could start there, or just you guys could fill that in when you want. Or whoever asks the next question, we could focus on the Brian Norman Jr. fight. Let's stay there. Adam says, I think I'm going Norman with a knockout. Adam, I love that prop, and I went heavy on it, Adam. So if you didn't check the earlier live streams or even last week, the last parlay I hit last weekend, it was a 9-leg. and I hit a stoppage parlay with Cruz and Hitchens, but I kept my money in my account on the 9-leg, and I went heavy on the Norman Jr. stoppage and the Araneta money line. So I'm there as well. The long parlay Marcel, I will be posting in about 2 hours, and I'll be doing the video on my next live stream. So guys, a look ahead for today. I'm going to be doing another live stream in about 5 hours. That live stream, I'll be going over my long parlay that we've pieced together for tonight, and then the cards throughout the weekend. And I'll also screenshot it from my betting app, and I'll put it in my post section for you guys to look at. You guys could either tail me or... Yeah, so Goat's asking tonight on the Brian Norman Jr. prop, the odds I'm getting for under 4.5. So that means the fight has to end by the fourth round mid round. So we know that mine has it by minute. So you know each round's 3 minutes. The first 3 rounds will pass, that's 9 minutes. The fourth round will pass, that's 12 minutes. We need it under 10.5 minutes. So it's a 6-1. I think it's worth sprinkling something on a parlay. 6-1. Can Brian Norman Jr. get it done in 10 minutes? Who knows? Obviously that's not a lock. It's 6-1 for a reason. But I could see that happening. And my reasoning with Norman Jr. getting the earlier round stoppage, like I said all week, has nothing to do with Norman Jr.'s game plan, and it has everything to do with how aggressive Sasaki fights. And you mix Sasaki's front foot style, his willingness to exchange in the pocket, mix that with how Brian Norman Jr. is wired, and he's going to stay there. I think he's definitely going to oblige Sasaki. It's going to be a firefight. Look, guys, Sasaki could punch. I don't think he's ever been in there with a guy as talented all around, especially at this weight class, Brian Norman Jr. We've seen Sasaki get stopped before. I know Sasaki fans have telling me all week Sasaki was weight drained, and he got stopped against Andy Hiroka. I like it. I like it. Michael, that's a little bit safer. 1-6 Norman Jr., a little bit safer. Canelo's Floyd's son bringing up some boxing news, breaking news. He's talking about Bruno Sarase in his most recent fight. We know Bruno Sarase in the first fight went to Tijuana as a huge underdog. I think it was 8-1. And stopped Jaime Munguia with kind of like, I don't want to say it was like a Hail Mary punch, but Munguia was controlling that fight, and Sarase was on the ropes, and he just caught him in an exchange. He was punching with him. And that adjustment Sarase made in that fifth, I think it was the 5th or 6th round, was beautiful, because up until that, if you rewatch that knockout, Sarase wasn't punching with Munguia. He was kind of like trying to slip him on the ropes, and then when he finally, Munguia wasn't expecting it. Anyway, they fought again. Munguia won on the cards, gave Sarase his first loss, and then he tested positive for PEDs. And I should mention, guys, he tested positive for exogenous testosterone, okay? That isn't ostarine. This isn't those, you know, what John Jones tested positive for, picograms. So the smallest level of measurement when I was in college were called nanograms. They've now discovered a smaller unit of measurement called picograms. A picogram is like, you know, barely traceable. John Jones, ostarine. Ryan Garcia, ostarine. Ostarine is found in a lot of supplements, tainted supplements, manufactured. It is a PED. It's on the performance-enhancing drug list in the OSADA list. Okay, now, exogenous testosterone, why this is different, because as we know as men, our body naturally produces testosterone. Basically, you know, what makes us strong, what makes us vibrant. And as we get older being a man, that testosterone will naturally deplete. And this is why they say maybe in your late 30s, early 40s, go to a doctor, get your test levels checked. And a lot of times if your test levels are at a certain, you know, depth, because this is what makes us excited for life. Guys who are in their 40s, my age, who have low testosterone and don't know it, they're going to be sluggish. They're not going to be inspired. They're not going to be excited. They're going to struggle getting aroused. They're going to struggle with their sex life. So the benefit of getting, you know, HGH is one way, human growth hormone, but I would go more the route of, you know, test supplements, go to a doctor. Those are exogenous testosterone, meaning that it's not at a level that's naturally produced in your body. You're getting it probably injected in. And this is what Jaime Munguia tested positive for twice. The B sample came back yesterday, and that once again tested positive for exogenous testosterone. So now it's at I'm pretty sure he's at the phase where he's waiting to see what his suspension is going to be, because he's already said he didn't do it. But I mean, when the A sample and B sample both come back for exogenous test, it's like, what's he going to say? And we already know, the growing list of Eddie Reynoso fighters, even fighters that are linked to him. And I'm not trying to be conspiratorial. And I'm going to just end it right there. Do you think Canelo or cheats, Johnny? What's good, Johnny? DJ Green in the house. Guys, wherever you're tuning in, let's like this video. Do I think Canelo is a cheat? Man, I don't think it's up to me to assume or pass judgment, guys. I know when that happened a few years ago, when they claimed tainted meat, I really looked into it. I did a video on it. I researched it. The levels of the levels of what Canelo initially tested for him to have to get it from meat was insane. And I don't know. It's not up to me to say if somebody's a cheat. And I can't ethically sit here. It's just not in my DNA to call somebody a cheat when there's evidence he tested positive, of course. Now, I used to interview bodybuilders, and in my first book, Jay Cutler, Mr. Olympia, I think he was 3-time Mr. Olympia, I became friends with him, like a very cordial relationship. I could call him, like he showed up in my book. He's on the channel, so if you go to playlists and look at interviews, every time he comes to Sydney, I'll link up with him at a hotel, and we'll have dinner, etc. But when you look at a guy like Jay Cutler, you look at that industry, bodybuilding, that passes, they're taking everything under the moon. HGH, clenbuterol, Phenoplex, Sustanon, Winstrol, all of those are all exogenous, right? That passes the eye test. With a boxer, Canelo, there's a lot of steroids that don't look like steroids, because there's a lot of things like EPO, for instance, what Lance Armstrong tested positive for. They call that blood doping because that speeds up the recovery. So those are considered PEDs too. Nowadays, even if you do, even if you rehydrate using IVs, once upon a time in the UFC, you could weigh in, and after the weigh-in, you could rehydrate with IVs. You're not allowed to do that anymore. So that's against the rules, the rehydration. My point is, not all steroids and not all PEDs look the same. So when I'm looking, and if I'm passing judgment on bodybuilders, it's easy to do. Or WWF wrestlers or The Rock, it's easy to do. These guys are on steroids. But with boxers, we don't really, you can't really see the eye too much. You can kind of break down performances if guys are sort of, their energy levels are, they're 40, and all of a sudden they have this fight of their career and their cardio's through the roof and they're durable. But still, that doesn't give us solid proof to say they were on something. So I've always sided on the way of caution with that. So, GOAT, do I think that Canelo's a cheat? I don't think so. And am I naive because I'm a boxing fan? And I'm not a Canelo fan. I'm a boxing fan. I admire Canelo's work. I admire his career, Hall of Famer. But I don't sit here in the headspace of calling him a cheat. So yeah, hopefully I answered your question. Somebody asked a question about Norman Jr. again. I missed it. Wherever you're tuning in, let's get those questions rolling in. We're 15 minutes in. I do have an early strength session here at my house today with a client. So I'm not gonna be able to do the full hour. I'm gonna be on for another 30 minutes. All I do is ask for you to like this video. I think somebody asked, when does the fight start for me? So the Tokyo card, guys, starts, it's 6:45 a.m. here. On Thursday, the Tokyo card starts at 6 p.m. But the main event, Norman Jr. won't fight until 9 p.m. here. So the full day. And I think you guys are going to go to bed. It's Wednesday night, I'm sure, in North America. You guys will go to bed, you'll wake up, and then I think it's Thursday morning for you guys. But let me know if your sports book is giving you options now on some of the method of victories, because the Christian era, are you guys all getting Araneta? Because there's an Araneta knockout prop at about 7 a.m. for us. And that's good time, GOAT, for you guys to be able to wake up and I know Americans aren't used to daytime combat sports, but since 2013, since I moved here, I had to get used to it. So every UFC card, every boxing event is in the morning or early afternoon here in Australia. And I remember I went home. Do I ever, do I ever parlay multiple sports? I'll bet on multiple sports. I'll bet on UFC. I'll bet on NCAA college football, but I don't put them on the same ticket. And that's just superstition for me. Or my OCD. I like keeping things aligned. I have mates who will also they'll do season bets. I have a friend who just won something like 80 grand, won 80,000, but it took him the whole season. And, he had OKC in the finals and all these other things, and he put the bet in December. So I want to bet that way, but I don't have the patience to do it that way. I'm definitely covering the Christian Mabili fight. The Christian Mabili fight's going to be a fun one to break down. So whoever asked that question, the answer is yes. But the longer you're on my channel, guys, the way I break videos down, I do it fight to fight and week to week. Because we have Tokyo today, the main focus in terms of the analysis and prediction was that Norman Jr. card. I also broke down the top rank card so you guys could see on my playlist. I gave you the Jahai Tucker versus Truck Simpson prediction. Also in Birmingham, England this weekend, if you haven't seen my breakdown of Goliath Fai versus Francisco Rodriguez Jr., that's on the playlist as well. And for the sake of the main event in Jersey, I'm going to do the Vito Melnicki fight today, so that will be uploaded. But guys, to give you a heads up, we have midweek boxing next week, my favorite. It'll be Tuesday morning. It might be Tuesday night where you guys are. Liam Wilson's fighting. He's headlining a card in Australia. And Liam Wilson, he fought Emmanuel Navarrete and world ranked guy, 130 pounder. Fun fight. I reference that is because the last time we had a Wednesday night card in Australia a month ago, I hit a 22-1. One of my buddies won 22K off my bets. I always win on the Australian card. So just keep that in mind. Don't forget about that fight card. We got a lot of fights over the next, there's always a lot of fights. So somebody asked, yeah, the Canelo Crawford fight is going on. They just released a poster today that is at Allegiant Stadium in Vegas. I know some people aren't happy because it's stacked on the same day as the UFC card. And Turki Al-Sheikh and Dana White is promoting that fight, that card. Say what you will about it. That doesn't excite me too much. I kind of, I'm not too big on Dana sort of, just getting handed Crawford versus Canelo for the sake of doing his UFC Noche at night. So when you think of priorities and they're trying to market Canelo versus Crawford as the fight of the, whatever you want, fight of the year, fight of the decade, fight of the century, however you stand on that. If that's the case, how come that fight isn't prioritized on that day? Because that fight happens first, the card, and then at night, the UFC is featured. But make what you will about it. That's just politics. We have no control over that. I'm excited to see both cards. There are the co-main tonight in Tokyo. So the fight that's on before Norman Jr. Sasaki, Araneta versus Sim Street. They're offering me a method of victory now, and I think I'm gonna do that as well because ethically, if I'm rolling with Araneta, I already got him on the money line at good money. They're both knockout artists. I think the skill, the class, the power, the size, all of that sides with Araneta, and you can get him right now at my book is saying a 255. Not quite 2-1 money, but $100 gets you your money back. Plus 155. So I think those are great odds because I think that that's where the money is. The odds are showing that whoever's going to win is going to win by stoppage. When you look at their knockout to win ratios and how they go about their business, and that's why they made this fight. They brought it for the Japanese fans. When you watch these Japanese cards in Tokyo or the surrounding areas, there's always a lot of knockouts. The fights are super exciting. And so you can kind of dissect certain matchups on certain cards wherever they are in the world and kind of see sometimes there's fight cards in certain countries and you're like, oh shit, the judges, if that fight goes to the scorecards, the hometown guy is probably going to get it no matter how close it is. We could say that about certain fights wherever they are. I'm not going to put any country on blast. Japan's one of those countries though, when fights are there, there's a lot of knockouts. There's a lot of stoppages. So keep that in mind. And I like the stoppages for both Norman Jr. and Araneta. So I want to know where your guys' money's at. We are starting to build our parlay. So I'm going to do the video properly in my second live stream. But if you're following along and you guys have your book out, Rambler says Norman is a safe bet. Gary, Fat Dan, and TJ Rives are all wrong. Norman Jr. is a safe bet. Rambler, could you maybe clarify that a bit? Jin has admitted he normally feels 100% confident. He's 80% showbiz. Bill, let's address the elephant in the room. Is Showbiz and Bill, are they back? Bill Haney, is Bill Haney back in here? Yeah, this week we've had Showbiz, had to be a clone account, and Bill Haney on the live stream. The cloned accounts are popping again. But Rambler, are you saying that, because didn't you have a hot take earlier in the week, Rambler? Maybe not that Sasaki was going to win, but you thought it was going to be Norman by decision. Was that you? Or maybe I misread what you just wrote. But I see you here all the time, so I appreciate the support. Gold member, fast car in the house. So if you go, what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep an eye on that on the text screen to see that. Salute, caught another live. TJ in the house. Appreciate you. So right now I'm going to slowly build this long parlay. This will go into the weekend, and I'll cover this more in detail with questions in my second live today. So for the next minute, if you ask a question, I'm going to be looking at the screen. So if you want to follow along, if we add this to our parlay, Christian Araneta money line, Norman Jr. money line, Rubikova money line. I'm still torn on Stevens versus Kamikov. I'll get back to you guys tonight. I'm going to stay away from Stephanie Silva versus Mary Romero. I think Kona Walker handles Liam Taylor, and Kona Walker to $1.43 adds some nice juice on the parlay. Peter McGrill to $1.16. That adds nice juice on the parlay. Dude, guys, we're going to make some money this week. Galal Yafai. I'll answer your question in a second, Canelo. Galal Yafai, 134. Jahai Tucker, 131. Melnicki, 107. Walsh, 109. Guys, I am loving this 9-leg. So I'm gonna break that down in detail, and I'll answer your question, Canelo, in a second. So I just gave you guys a 9-leg parlay. This will be my long parlay for the week starting today, and it's paying almost 7-1. I'm getting 753. So $100 on this gets you your money back plus 653 bucks. So we're gonna go over that. If you're just tuning in, PJ's in the house. I just briefly covered my long parlay, but in my second live stream today, I'm going to go over that in detail, and I'll print it out for you guys. So to answer your question, Canelo, I get up every morning at 4:45 a.m. Yeah, it's something in my second book. If you guys see in my bookshelf there, that's my most recent published book. It's called The 24-Hour Reset. It came out in 2022. And so I give you my sort of diagram on how to live a healthy lifestyle before you even leave the house. And 8 steps, 8 healthy habits that I do every day that I've done for 15 years. So to answer your question, I love getting up early. Upset alert could be Galal. Yeah, guys, PJ just asked, are there any upsets going into this week? And we just saw somebody mention the Galal fight. The Galal fight is a tough fight. Especially when you look at, his opponent's resume. Galal's a gold medal Olympian, right? This will only be his 10th pro fight. He's 9-0 with 7 stoppages. Really, really exciting fighter. He's 32, though. His opponent, Callum Walsh, wins. So Galal Yafai is fighting a guy in Francisco Rodriguez Jr., who's not quite a 3-1 underdog. He's the same age, 32 years old. But in terms of pro rounds, right, it's insane. I think he's had 45 pro fights. Francisco Rodriguez Jr., he's fought Junto Nakatani. Nakatani couldn't stop him. He fought Ioka. Ioka couldn't stop him. You have to go back to either 2012 or 2013. This is Francisco Rodriguez Jr. He fought Chocolatito. It's the only person who ever stopped him. And that was over 13 years ago. So this is a long pro. This is a guy who went pro at 20. He's the same age as Gafai, 32, which is insane. But one guy has 45, 46 pro fights, and the other guy is going into his 10th pro fight. So that's something to think about. Yeah, TJ, on paper, I'm just going off history books. I'm not trying to be controversial. I'm just going off the stats. Yeah, so my point is, it's a tough fight. It's a big step up. Galal Yafai thinks he's that dude. His handlers thinks he's that dude. This is the litmus test to see if he's really world class. It's a stressful fight for the bettors. I broke it down. I'm standing by my prediction. I think stylistically, in terms of sharpness, the things on paper, technically, that you want to see from a guy you're betting on, that's who I'm betting on. A lot of tread on the tires. Rich Blackman in the house, always appreciate your support. PJ, thank you. Guys, wherever you're tuning in, like this video. Yeah, TJ, so that's an interesting thing. So TJ brings up a good point. Let me check that out real quick. So Gafai on the money line's $1.34. Will the fight go the distance? Yeah. Bro, TJ, I salute you, brother. I like that bet. So TJ's saying because the matchup is going to be a barn burner, guys. If you are siding with Gafai, he's only $1.34. But the safer bet might be just to sit back with neutral eyes and wish for the fight to go the distance because those odds are $1.44. So TJ, good call. And I think that but then you still got to worry about a stoppage. Because for the ethics of my channel, and I already uploaded my prediction. I'm comfortable with Galal beating him. I think he beats him. But you did give us another option because neither guy, they both could crack though. I mean, there could be a stoppage, but $1.44 are better odds for the fight to go the distance considering the weight class. So yeah, it just depends on what you like more. And then historically as a bettor, what you see yourself statistically winning more on. And that matters too, guys. Basically, if you've been gambling and betting, if you're not new to the game, your history and patterns of winning are going to be different than, better A, better B, better C. Like me personally, I win a lot of money on the long parlays, and lately I've been winning a lot of money on stoppages. If a stoppage comes, it's Rod stopping Galal. Johnny Walker, what up? Rando in the house. What time's the fight start? So the fight starts here. The fight card in Tokyo here starts at 6 p.m. Yeah. He's never. The only time he's been stopped was 2012 against Chocolatito. He was a kid too. I think he was 19 years old. It's a good matchup. It's a fun fight. And betting aside, guys, remember we're boxing fans. Watch that fight. And if you're new to boxing or you're learning the sport, or if you've never seen Galal Yafai fight, watch that fight. It's a fun fight. It's an exciting fight. It's going to be all action. You're going to have the British crowd. And I think, yeah, blessings in the house. Stephanie Silva, Mary Romero. Distance will protect you in the draw too. TJ, all valuable. TJ's advice, all valid. I appreciate all the advice. Norman Sasaki, under 10.5, 3-leg. I brought this up yesterday, guys, with Norman Jr. and Sasaki. Because we have a fight at 147 with two big punchers, fighters who could, the fight could end. Somebody could get wobbled, and then the follow-up, the fight could end at any time. It's going to come down to, when you're putting money on this fight, how greedy you want to be. And I say that with all honesty and authenticity. How greedy do you want to be? Because the odds makers make it that way when we see, okay, under 10.5, you see the odds. But then you want to be greedy because then you see, oh, under 6.5. Or, oh, shit, under 4.5. Because the odds are steeper and steeper. But the reasoning, your knowledge of Sasaki, your knowledge of Norman Jr. makes our eyes open up wider because we're like, oh, shit, both guys could punch. I could see that. So that's what I mean. How greedy do we want to be? One day you'll have me on, brother. I'll do a live with you when there's a big card. Chilltown Boxing. 100% TJ. I'm writing that down. TJ, have you? I know I got some emails. I got to some of your emails this morning. Somebody sent me the link to, I think it's called Crack Stream or Med Stream. Whoever sent me that link, I say thank you, and I responded to you. And then somebody else, a couple other guys I was able to respond to. The name will come to me. Whenever you guys email me, I appreciate reaching out, and I do my best to get back to you. But that my email that you guys are linked to, it's filled with messages from YouTube, and I run a fitness business from my Instagram. So sometimes they get lost. Blessing, hey, let's address Blessing's question real quick. I always see Blessings on the live stream. I appreciate you tuning in. Blessings wants to take us to the Stephanie Silva, Mary Romero fight. Met stream. Did I say crack stream? Dude, I'm new to, I don't know, crack stream, Met stream, Tweaky, I don't know. But so, Stephanie Silva, Mary Romero, Blessings, right? Stephanie Silva is a good play. Okay, now we're on board. On the money line, Stephanie Silva is $1.22. Mary Romero is a $4.80. So, Blessings, are you 100% confident in throwing Silva on your parlay? And if you are, you said, is Silva fighting at home? So I'm going to throw that. Because, guys, if we throw Clenbuterol stream, if we throw Stephanie Silva on that 9-leg and turn it into a 10-leg, we now have 9-to-1 odds. Okay. I salute you, Blessings. I'm going to follow your lead. I'm going to do it. Stephanie Silva has been added to our parlay. Almost every Norman knockout is under 6. Exception was the Santillan fight. TJ, agreed. All right, guys, we're 30 minutes in. This is the time where I am going to acknowledge an MMA question here. Okay, this UFC card, it's overseas. It features a lot of non-mainstream fighters, but if you know anything about the MMA game, I think there's going to be, there's opportunity for a lot of stoppages. Johnny Walker. I don't see Johnny Walker on the card. Rafael Luna, I hate MMA. Yeah, Poppy Brandon. It's one of these things that over the last month, people have found out that I cover MMA. I just don't cover it on my channel. So last week I was asked about it, and I gave you guys a quick 6-legger. We hit 5 out of 6. TJ MMA. Yeah, I bet I do all my wheelhouse is boxing regarding my channel, but I've been writing for websites on MMA for over 10 years and interviewing fighters, and I've literally could say I've watched almost every card. I remember watching in 1993, guys. November 11th, 1993. It's insane. Do you think Norman is going to win? I do. Okay. Okay. Rando, I thought you were talking about the MMA fighter. I am comfortable to answer your question about Brian Norman Jr. I am. And my comfortability with Brian Norman Jr. not only winning, but winning by stoppage is based on research, watching film, seeing both guys' careers, specifically how Sasaki fights. So the player, do I have him on my first parlay that I put this week? I put this in on Monday. So I went really heavy on Norman Jr. at $1.80 to win by stoppage. And I got Christian Araneta at a $2.20 on the money line. So I'm already invested with that. I have a second prop parlay, which I'm taking Brian Norman Jr. You don't have to follow me on this. This is a fun one. Brian Norman Jr. under 4.5 at 6-to-1. Under 4.5 at 6-to-1. And then Jin Sasaki to get dropped. So Jin Sasaki to get dropped. Brian Norman Jr. under 4.5, and then Norman Jr. to win. There to be a knockdown. I posted it, and it only pays about 8-to-1. High interest, guys. Wherever you're tuning in, we're floating between 60 and 80 people on the stream. We're at 75 now. Just like it. Yeah, trade player under 4. It's a fun one. That's not my lock. I got it on 4 minus 115. Yeah, so my bet that I'm standing on is Norman Jr. to just win by stoppage, and then Araneta on the money line. From there, if you guys, because there are Sasaki bettors, people are betting on Sasaki, and I understand. This isn't a channel for me to sell you on my picks. I listen to both sides. I could see Sasaki. Sasaki has a path to victory. He really does. Sasaki has a path to victory. It's going to be a puncher's path to victory. And I think because I could see a path to victory for Sasaki, I think he gets stopped early, if that makes sense. It's like, think about the Arsenal. Think about how Ramon Cardenas came at Naoya Inoue. I think we're going to see something similar. I could see over some props I like about this fight if you don't want to pick a winner. All right, guys, if you want to go from a neutral perspective, I like the prop over 1.5 knockdowns. So whatever your book's paying, over 1.5 knockdowns, I like it. I obviously like the fight not to go the distance. I obviously like Norman Jr. to win by stoppage. So this is what I'm talking about. I remember you saying something close to 42, 43. Yeah, fights lately. I think I missed that question. But so, yeah, to clarify, those for this Sasaki fight, hopefully that made sense to some of you guys. Those are the bets I really, really like about that fight. The stoppages. Will the fight go the distance? No. So just look on your book and see what your odds are. And, you know, a lot of you guys will piece together your own little, you know, sew up your own little parlay. I think Araneta gets a stoppage. Please tell me the rumors aren't true about GAR. What did I didn't. Guys, I woke up at 4:45 a.m. I had a client at 5. I'm Googling it right now. Did I miss something? He said no. GAR fighting Giovanni Gonzalez. Did I miss something here? He's trolling. Unless yeah, that's not real. Poppy Brown, why did I move to Australia? I moved here in 2013. I was living in Las Vegas. Just finished grad school in 2013. I was working at a bar on the Strip. If you know the Planet Hollywood Casino, walk into the Planet Hollywood Casino, the main gaming floor, the escalators, there's a nightclub, a really high-end steakhouse, and then at the time it was called Holly Madison's Peep Show. Then it turned into Coco's Peep Show, the lady who married Ice-T, and then Britney Spears. Up there was a nightclub I worked at. I met a girl who was a flight attendant from Australia. You know, we started hanging out. She lived in Sydney. I came to visit her once. Flew back to Vegas and then applied to come down here for a year. Came down here for a year, loved it, applied for my citizenship, started my own business a year after, went through all their policies. It cost me about $20,000 to be able to stay, and over like 3 years. So at the time, I don't know if it's changed, but their immigration policies for any foreigners, at least from America, I could speak on, were very stringent. They had to do. Dude, this is insane. I don't know if I've ever talked about this. Obviously, they had to do a background check, but I had to do a blood test, a cancer test, an AIDS test. Also, at the time in 2013, I was 30. I think I was 31 because I'm 43 now. So I think I just turned 31. And at the time, if you were 35, you couldn't come. So they didn't want any men over 35, all these things. But that's why I went. Hitchens Cruz. I think there are exciting fights coming up, guys. I think the Galal Yafai fight's an exciting fight. I think the Norman Jr. fight, Sasaki, is going to be a fire fight. I think that I'm hoping, fingers crossed, Jahai Tucker and Truck Simpson bring it. We know it's a fight that's flying under the radar. Thank you, Poppy Brandon. I appreciate you asking me. Araneta knockout, Norman under 9. I love that. Blessings, what does that pay? Araneta by stoppage. Araneta by stoppage. Let me know that. Norman in 4. There you go, Jitterbug. Now we're talking. See, now we're... All these stoppages that happen under 5 rounds, we're just being gunslingers. If Galal wins, he says to fight Bam if he wins. Yeah, this fight's at 112 pounds. We know Bam is the king at 15. And not a lot... And it's a good point you bring up, TJ, because all the rumors about Bam at 15 are more about moving up. And then, you know, you very fun conversations. People are like, Bam should move up to 18 to fight Nakatani. But then those conversations are like, Nakatani should move up to 22 to fight Inoue. But those conversations are like, Inoue should move up to 26 to fight A, B, or C. Like, you know what I'm... So there's a lot of factors that need to happen, but I want to see all of them. Okay, Jitterbug, hot take. Rodriguez knocking out Galal. It could happen. Araneta knockout, lock. Love that bet. Sell me, whoever just said they could see Rodriguez knocking out Galal, could you sell me on that? And this isn't me calling you out. This is me trying to learn because I want to see your perspective because I went the other way. In my film study, in my breakdown prediction, and on paper, I have Galal Yafai winning that fight. Somebody just said Rodriguez by stoppage. Whoever said that, how do you see that happening? Like the path to victory. Do you see it happening early, late? Do you see it from volume wearing him down? Galal on points. Hey, Johnny, happy Wednesday. Have a day off work today. Dwayne Styles, enjoy your Wednesday. It's my Thursday morning. So it is, guys, it's 7:12 a.m. I have a powerlifting client session in my house downstairs at 7:30. So I'm going to keep this going for another 3 to 5 minutes. So let's get those questions in. I'd really like that person, whoever said that Galal gets stopped, to show me your reasoning, because it's a moment for me to kind of think. Smash the like button, guys. Dwayne's always supporting the channel. Support the channel however you can. You know, obviously it's great when people tip me. It's great when you guys like this video and comment. Kona Walker. Yeah, I have Kona on my parlay. I have Galal, money line. We'll leave it up for a couple minutes. Like I said, for those who think that Galal is going to lose, I'm interested in how he loses. Okay, Jitterbug. If Rodriguez can eat punches from Junto, he can take Galal. Right. He did. He didn't get stopped. Nakatani didn't stop him. He absolutely can stop Galal. Phase out to 4. He's 1 gear, fast, limited defense, but a ton of offense. Great punch. Okay. I think Sinceri wins the co-main. Okay, so we got some hot takes. It could go either way. We know in boxing there are no locks. So we have people going against both picks, which I like. Simsri. My problem with the Simsri pick beating Araneta is basically when you look at his resume, when you look at how the Thai boxing nationally at the domestic level is, it's a lot of Muay Thai fighters getting boxing experience, vice versa. I see a lot of the Thai fighters here in Australia because a lot of the domestic Aussies will bring them over to pad their stats. Nothing against the Thai guys, but guys, Muay Thai is known for the art of 8 limbs, not boxing. Okay, that being said, look at Simsri's record. Look who he's fought. Has a lot of knockouts. And I feel that's why at the beginning of the week, the BoxRec algorithm had to play a role in those odds, because at the beginning of the week, Araneta was a 220 underdog. And I got him at 220. Now he's at $1.50 favorite. So, that being said, I think Araneta is the better athlete. I think he's bigger. I think he's going to do what he wants with him. I think he stops him, but we'll see. I was wrong about Gorsh versus Alate, and, you know, nobody's 100% on it. But the one thing you could expect, guys, like I always tell you, my picks are based off of my reason and what I see. It's the Galal Yafai fight, to answer your last question, I'll stop it here. This will be my last point. I really like Galal Yafai based on his energy, his pace, his output. I think he does technically a lot of things that a lot of people in that division don't do, and I think he wins on a decision. And I'm happy. I'm comfortable with that bet. I just think the tread on the tires, the rounds, the sort of wear and tear on Francisco is really high right now. They're both 32, but literally they couldn't be more different at 32. Guys, stay tuned to the channel. I got to sign off here. I am uploading the Vito Melnicki analysis and prediction. But more importantly than that, if you're not into that fight, I'm going live at 11:30 my time. It's in 4 hours your time. Let's get this money. In that live stream, we're doing that long parlay. Thanks to Blessings, it's now a 10-leg parlay. I'll print it out for you guys so you can see it on the page as well. Let's get this.